Where are we? Number 11? So let's do 11. It says find the what are the coordinates, or find the coordinates of line segment CD. Find the midpoint, the coordinates of the midpoint. So we're finding, I'll put it right here. Find what? Midpoint. I'll just shorthand it. Is that all right? Find the midpoint of line segment CD. Well, you got to know what the points are for CD. It's on the graph. So let's list them just like we did for the distance. Okay, we'll list point C, we'll list point D, and then we'll throw them into the midpoint formula. So look at point C. Where is that? Look at it. 1, 2. -2, -1. Is that right? For C, make sure I'm counting right. And then D, that's a little further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? Did I count right? 5, -4. So you got to make sure. Now sometimes, who knows? I can't even remember on the test. I might just give you the points. All right, you don't have to look at a graph and figure out where they are. But in this particular question, they put them on a graph. You just write down what points they are. Now we got to find the midpoint. Well, we have a formula for midpoint, and you have to memorize this. There's no way around it. Know the formula for midpoint. It's not that hard, is it? What do? Take the x's and do what to them? Add them up. So you take the two x's, you add them up, and then you divide by 2. And then you do the same thing with the y's. You add up the y's, and you divide that by 2. Remember, this is an ordered pair. You're not going to get a square root out of this stuff. All right? It's not going to be just one single number. It's going to be an ordered pair. It's going to be parentheses, right, with a comma in between. Everybody with me? So let's plug some stuff in. x1 plus x2. Here are my x's right here. Just add them up. Make sure that you just add them up. Actually, it doesn't even matter what order you add them up. All right, tell you the truth. Just add up the x's. -2 plus 5. -2 plus 5. And you put it over 2. Put a comma in between and put it in parentheses. Let's do the y's. Add those up. -1 plus what? -4. Divide that by 2. And we're almost done, aren't we? Look. What's -2 plus 5? How about 3? 3 over 2. And then -1 plus -4? It's -5. Put that over 2. And guess what? That's my answer right there. Should you really make this a 1.5? Is there any reason to do that? No, it's just an extra thing to do. Why do anything extra if you don't have to? Would you agree with that? Yeah. A lot of people, I don't know why. I do know why. Because back in your elementary days and your middle school days, your teachers always harped on you. Didn't they always get on your case about this? Don't leave it an improper fraction. Always make it a mixed number. Well, in algebra and in geometry, because we're doing a lot of algebra in geometry, a lot of times it's just as good to keep it as an improper fraction. All right? Just keep it like that, and then you're done. That's it. Let's do one more midpoint. And this midpoint's a little bit trickier than that one. All right, this is straightforward, nothing fancy about it, nothing tricky at all. Okay, the next one's a little bit trickier. So let's pause this, we'll get rid of this and write down the next one. All right, let's look at number 12. Still midpoint, it's a little bit different. So I want you, we've done this probably 3 or 4 times at least in front of you, all right, for you to do this kind of thing. I've given you several problems like this, but it still seems like a little shaky because we had a question like this on the quiz way back when we took a quiz on this lesson, and a lot of people missed it. So this is your one more shot at getting it right. Okay, it's not that, it's a little bit harder than what we just did, but it's nothing that's out of your reach. You should be able to handle this if you just follow what I do. It says find the coordinates of a point E. Okay, so we're finding point E, and I'm going to write that down. If what? If C is the midpoint, so C is the midpoint. See, write it all down. Just sketch it out. We're finding point E, and they tell us C is the midpoint of AE. Okay? Let's take a look at our graph. Let's figure out what A and E are. Oh, we don't know, do we? Because we're trying to find what E is. But look at C. We do know C, don't we? We know C. Look at C. We already talked about that earlier. It's -2, -1, isn't it? And then what about A? Do we know what A is? Yeah, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 1. -3, 1. So we know A is -3, 1. What don't we know up here? Point E, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to put an E here, And guess what I'm going to put inside here? I don't know what it is, so I'll call this x and y. Good. Alright? You with me so far? All I've done is set it up. What is the c, though? The c is the what? That's the midpoint, isn't it? Okay, remember that. This is my line segment. This is my midpoint. I have a midpoint formula. Let's write it out again. This is the second time now that I've written it out, so you should have it memorized. You should have had it memorized before this, but at this point you definitely should have this memorized. Alright, there's the midpoint formula. Now watch what we're going to do. I've got it all set up. This is my midpoint. The other problem that we just finished doing, we didn't know the midpoint, did we? We had to find it. This time they tell it to us. They tell us what the midpoint is. So what I'm going to do, see where it says midpoint right here? I'm going to put -2, -1 in for the midpoint. So I'm going to write -2, -1, and write that for the midpoint. You with me? Now let's do the rest of it. What did we do earlier to find the midpoint? We added up the x's and divided by 2, didn't we? But this time I don't know what both of those numbers are. One of them is actually an x. So let's add them up. So it's x plus -3. Isn't that the same as just x minus 3? Then what do we put that over? 2. Let's do the same thing with the y's. What do we do here? Add them up. It's just y plus 1, and we put that over 2. See what I'm doing? This is the midpoint. This is the two x's added together divided by 2. This is the two y's together added together divided by 2. I'm almost ready to solve this thing now. Let's change colors here. Watch. I'm going to take this. What is this equal to? It's equal to a number. It's equal to one number. How do you know? Look, this point is equal to this point, right? This is the x part. This is the x part. So what is this equal to right here? -2. That's right. See that? So this point, right, this part of the x is equal to -2. So guess what I'm going to do? Let's do a different color. I'm going to set this equal to -2. Now watch carefully. It's x minus 3 over 2 equals what? -2. Can you do the math and solve for x now? You should be able to. We'll do it in a second. Let's do the y this time. Let's go back to red. What about this? What's that equal to? -1, right? You see? You see why it's equal to -1? This is the x part, so it's equal to the x part. This is the y part, so it's equal to the y part. You set them equal. Scrappy, I hope you're getting all this. Is that your secret way of learning? Alright, let's do this. This is y plus 1 over 2. And what's that equal to? It's a -1. And now, we just do our math, and then we're done. We've got x and y. So it's just a matter of setting it up, and then setting the x equal to the x, and setting the y equal to the y. Once I do that, I'm good to go. It's kind of easy, actually. How do I get rid of this 2? Multiply by 2, so that cancels out. What do I do to this side? Multiply that by 2. So it's x minus 3 equals, what's that? -4. Add a 3 to both sides. If I'm going too fast, go back tonight, or this weekend, whenever. Okay, look it on YouTube. I'm recording it, so you can take your time with it and do it yourself. X equals what? -1. Let's come over here and do the same thing. First step, multiply by 2. Multiply this by 2. That cancels. Y plus 1 equals -2. Right? It seems like a lot of stuff to do, but it's real basic, easy stuff, though. Right? So even though it seems like there's a lot there, subtract the 1s from both sides. That cancels. Y equals -2 minus 1 is -3. So what did we just do? We found x and we found y. What did they ask you to do? Find point E. Guess what this is? This is actually point E. That's our x and that's our y. Do you see it? So we write our answer as an ordered pair. -1, -3, and that's my answer right there. It's a little bit more involved than what that other midpoint thing was, but it's really, it's not, it's more work. It's a little bit more stuff to do, but it's not really that difficult. Look, you set it up. You did this in the other problem, right? You put midpoint equals x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2, and then you just did the work. On this one, they tell you the midpoint, you got to solve for x. So you just take the first x, set it equal to the first x. Take the second y, and set it equal to the y. You see it? X equals x, y equals y. You get it? And now, you just do the math. This is just all algebra. Practice it. If you didn't get all those steps, if I went too fast, go on YouTube, look at the video, and take it step by step. Pause it between each little step and say, okay, what did he just do? Why did he multiply by 2? Sit there, look at it, think about it, then go on to the next step. Once I finish the next step, pause it, sit there, you do it yourself. That's what you should be doing. If you're not doing that stuff and you're getting these problems wrong, you're not doing enough. You hear me? You have got to take the extra time and effort to go through it. All right, I'm giving you every chance I can give you, all right, to put this online and for you to go through and look at it. You should have taken notes on this already today. You should have tried it once already, right? And even trying it that once, you could have gone back to YouTube. You could have gone back to your notes. You could have gone back to the book. There's all kinds of resources that you can do on this. All right, you've had plenty of opportunity to learn how to do this. Now you, listen to me, don't quit. All right, just because I'm giving a little speech doesn't mean you got to turn off. Listen to me. You have got to do what you need to do. You need to take the extra time and effort. I have a feeling that a lot of you guys are just sitting there and you're just, you're doing your homework, but maybe you're not trying really, really hard on your homework. You're not trying to get all the problems right, but you're coming in here and but you're doing the minimum. You're doing the basic. All right? Some of you guys can't afford just to do the basics. You have got to take a step further. You've got to discipline yourself and say, look, I'm not getting this stuff. I have got to do a little bit more. Okay, and I've been telling you what a little bit more is. Go to the videos, look at them, all right? Take some notes on them while you're watching the videos. You go back to the old homeworks. I mean, heaven forbid that we go back and do a homework problem that wasn't assigned. You can do that. You've got problems in the book, all right? I've been just giving you worksheets, but you've got a book. You could go back to that lesson. You could find the odd problems, right? Find one that looks like one that you did on the worksheet. Do a couple of the odd problems. Why do the odd problems? Why would I give you? Because the answer's in the back. That's right. You do the odd problems, you work it out, and then you can look in the back to see if you got it right or not. Does that make sense? That's the kind of stuff that you need to be doing to be prepared for this test. All right? And if you're not doing that stuff, you're not doing enough. Would you agree with that? Yeah, I think so. All right. So there you go. I want you to hang on to this. If there are questions that you got wrong, because I read off all the answers today, if there are questions that you got wrong today, go back and try it again until you get them right. If you still can't get it right, then you ask about it on Monday, and then we'll hit it on Monday. Monday's our last chance to go over this stuff. And then Tuesday's the test, no matter what. All right? No matter if we get another 6 inches of rain or whatever we got, we're going to take the test on Tuesday. Everybody got that? Test. When is it? Tuesday. 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 Right.
Are we going to do all these on...
There'll be 20 questions on the test, okay? There's 20 questions on the test, and you need to be able to get the test done in the class period. All right. Have a good rest of the day.